Hi there, my name is Zuli Rain. I'm a product marketer at Medium, and today I'm going to be talking about whether or not it's allowed to self-promote yourself, your work, your affiliate links, anything like that on Medium when you write a Medium story. The short answer is yes, you can self-promote on Medium, but with a very important caveat. When you self-promote on Medium, you have to think of it in terms of, would I do this kind of self-promotion to a friend? Would I do this to a coworker? So ask yourself, when you write a story that mentions your business, do you think that it's a context that you would feel comfortable doing with a friend or a coworker? And if you would, then definitely feel free to go ahead and include that self-promotion in your Medium story. And if not, maybe think again about whether you want to write that kind of thing and publish it on Medium. That's the TLDR. Let's get into all the different use cases, the best practices we have, and the hard nose on what kind of self-promotion is not allowed. Because, of course, Medium is an ad-free platform, which means that above all else, all stories on the platform have to primarily provide value. They cannot primarily be an ad or anything like that. A quick caveat before we jump in, a lot of people are going to see the word self-promotion and feel an immediate ick, turn off right away. And I think that's because a lot of us have seen a lot of really bad self-promotion on the internet. We've seen it, we know what it looks like, and it feels kind of icky to think about including that kind of self-promotion in our own work on Medium. If you don't want to, you don't have to, but there are ways to do it that don't feel icky, that are actually valuable for the reader, as long as you think of them as real people, real readers, and not just customer numbers. Okay, let's dive in. Okay, so with those rules in mind, we're going to talk about three possible examples of how you can self-promote on Medium, along with some best practices. And then we're going to get into what kind of self-promotion is not allowed or that you have to be very careful with. So we're going to talk about how to self-promote your expertise, how to self-promote your other platforms that you may have, like an Instagram account, a YouTube channel, and then we're going to talk about how to self-promote your book if you have published one. All right, let's start with the first one, how to self-promote your expertise. So a lot of writers on Medium do a lot of very cool, very interesting things and come to Medium to write about those things. That act of writing, of sharing their expertise, can be self-promotional just its nature. A great example I always love to talk about is Michelle Wiles. She is a marketing executive. I interviewed Michelle for a case study a while back where she told Medium about how she uses Medium as basically a portfolio. She has this publication that she is the sole writer of where she talks about breaking down branding case studies herself. So she talks about different brands and shares her expertise, her thoughts, her opinions on how they did it, why certain outcomes happened. She's an expert in marketing. She's sharing that expertise by writing about it. What ended up happening after she self-promoted her expertise here on Medium is that she was approached by freelance clients who wanted to hire her for her expertise, and ultimately she was headhunted for a new role off the back of her sharing her thoughts, her expertise, her strategy on Medium. If you're wondering what the best way is to self-promote your expertise on Medium, the truth is that we have a couple of great tools available for you right now that you can use to help collect your stories. So for example, you can check out lists. So for example, I created a bunch of how to write on Medium articles, stories, and I collect them here in a list for anybody to easily check out. You can do this with your writing on any topic in which you're an expert. You can also do what Michelle did and create your own publication to be the home of your thoughts, your expertise, your strategy on whatever it is that you are an expert in. And of course, I highly recommend that you focus on writing about things in which you are an expert. Don't try to share your expertise in things where you don't actually know that much about it. It should go without saying, but that's the best way to do self-promotion by writing on Medium, is to promote your expertise in a truthful, honest, and above all else, valuable way for the reader. Now let's talk about the second kind of self-promotion, talking about the other platforms that you may have and post on. So we know a lot of writers on Medium don't just write on Medium. Many have personal websites, LinkedIn accounts, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud, newsletters, and it's normal to want to cross-pollinate those audiences. And why not? It's a great idea. So for example, I self-promote our YouTube channel, which you're probably watching this video on right now, all the time in the Medium handbook links. So just to show you what that looks like. And you'll see that on any story, I embed the video version. So this is self-promotional. It benefits me because I'm saying you should come check out our YouTube channel. But it's also beneficial to readers because I hear all the time that certain readers prefer viewing this kind of information versus reading it. So it's valuable first, but it's also self-promoting our YouTube channel. So there's lots of ways that writers do this. The best practices for self-promoting your other channels are to fill out your bio and your about pages. So your bio is the thing that readers will see at the bottom of every one of your stories. They'll see it if they check out your profile. You can see it if you mouse over a writer in your page like this. So if I mouse over Hilda, I see this is her bio. If I mouse over Will Lockett, for example, you can see that he's self-promoting his website in his bio, which I see easily mousing over his profile when I'm checking out this article. If you want to go deeper and link more than one profile, our bio character count is a little bit on the short side, so I recommend you go ahead and fill out your about page. So if you go to your profile here, you can see that you'll have a tab here called About. You can edit this, include photos, you can include links, you can include any kind of formatting you want. So here you can include as many and any platform links that you want. Again, the rule of thumb you want to keep in mind is this a natural fit? Is this something that you would feel comfortable saying to a friend or a family member if you're going deep about urban planning, for example, and you happen to have a newsletter where you talk about urban planning? It's a totally normal inclusion to say to your friend or coworker, hey, you seem really interested in this conversation. I write a lot about urban planning where I share my thinking in this newsletter if you're interested in following along. So it's this kind of gentle, authentic self-promotion that can be valuable for readers. If that reader wants to know more, they have that option available if they want to go deeper and find you in more places. But it can still benefit you because that way you're building audiences elsewhere, not just on Medium. Let's talk about the third example of self-promotion on Medium, which is promoting your book. So no surprise, a lot of writers on Medium are, of course, book writers and book authors as well. The self-promotion method I see happening most frequently on Medium for writers who want to promote their book is to talk about the craft of writing or to talk about a topic that could be interesting to readers who are also interested in the genre. So for example, Akosua Sankofa writes about writing. She wrote this great article, How to Write 2 Books in 2 Years Without Writing Quotas. I interviewed her for the Medium Handbook as well, and I'll include a link in the video description. This story allowed her to naturally talk about the book that she's writing, Monmouth Deep, without actually saying, hey, you need to buy this book right now. It's a really natural inclusion. It's valuable because if a reader wants to see this kind of writing without writing quotas in action, they can check out her book if they want to. So it's this natural value-first inclusion that helps her do this really successfully. And of course, she's also included it in her bio, which is a great practice. Yeah, awesome. The other thing you can do is apply for a verified book author program on Medium. This does two things. It gives you a little badge here next to your name with a little badge that says you are a book author. The second thing it does is if you go to Dr. Pam's profile here, it allows you to include a little widget on your profile page linking out directly to the book platform of your choice. So this goes out to Warrior Life, Indigenous Resistance, and Resurgence. So for readers who check out Dr. Paul Mader's work and they want to learn more, they want to see a deeper example of her thinking, they can easily find and purchase her book right here. So the best practices we recommend for any book authors wanting to promote on Medium, again, talk about the craft of writing your book. Write about topics that could be interesting to readers of your niche. So for example, fantasy writers might talk about the craft of world building because, speaking as a fantasy reader myself, that's something that I'm really interested in. You can use our tools like the Verified Book Author Program to visually indicate that you are an author, and feel free to include the links to your personal website, your book if it's for sale already, in your bio and your about page. Now, let's talk about what kind of self-promotion is not allowed on Medium.com. The upshot is that whatever you publish has to primarily be a vehicle to give value to your reader. So if you write a story that is a thinly veiled ad, if it is sponsored content, if you have affiliate links that are not disclosed, that is all against our rules and it's not allowed on Medium. Again, it can be useful to go back to this coworker or friend rule. Would you feel comfortable promoting your business in a really obnoxious way to a friend? Probably not. Certainly not if you want to stay friends with them for long. Would you recommend a product to a friend that you'd never actually used yourself or give them an affiliate link without telling them that it was an affiliate link? No, not if you want to be a good friend, certainly. So again, think of Medium readers as real people, people who don't want to be sold to, and certainly not unless it has some kind of value to them first. Any story that you publish on Medium must be primarily to tell a story, to give some kind of value to the reader, not primarily to mention yourself, your business, your social media channels, or to sell affiliate links. There are a couple harder restrictions on what kind of self-promotion absolutely is not allowed on Medium, even if by any chance you would do this kind of thing to a friend, that I want to be clear about right now. The first thing you should know that if you want your story to reach a wider distribution on Medium, in general, the less self-promotion and marketing, the better your chances are. Of course, there are exceptions. Generally, as you can see here in our distribution guidelines, the story should provide value to the reader. That's the primary thing that our curators are looking for when they're distributing stories across Medium. It's also worth highlighting our AI content policy. So we've seen a lot of people trying to take advantage of AI content to generate a ton of bad stories purely to try to rank for SEO and include affiliate links that way. That is also not allowed. And of course, in our rules, we state really clearly that you are allowed to use affiliate links, but you must disclose them if so. You are allowed to mention your own business, you can promote your services, website, your mailing lists, but you're not allowed to do any third-party advertising or sponsorship. So you can't write a Medium story and say at the bottom, this was sponsored by whatever company chose to sponsor you. That is definitely an ad and not allowed on Medium. Okay, so we've come full circle. We talked about 3 examples of how to self-promote on Medium and what kind of self-promotion can actually be valuable for the readers. We've talked about what kind of self-promotion is not allowed, where you have to walk more carefully. And hopefully, if you take nothing else away, it's these 2 things. Self-promotion can be valuable. Sometimes readers want to go deeper, and so it's a benefit to them to provide to them your newsletter link, your YouTube channel, somewhere else where they can get more of your thinking and your work. And I also want you to remember that self-promotion can be fine if it's the kind you would feel comfortable doing with a friend or a coworker. If there's anything that crosses that comfort line for you, don't include it in your Medium story. So hopefully this helped you think about what kind of self-promotion is and isn't allowed, and you can keep it in mind when you're writing your next story on Medium. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you all in this one.